The world has been turned upside down last year. More than ever, we need to question the business that we run. This is the time for you to take a leap of faith. Now is the time for you to explore your true potential.
To all sales executives, senior leaders, chief executives, people managers, sales managers, are your people closing as well as they should, or as well as they could? You have very likely spent a lot of time strategizing about sales. You have also perhaps spent a lot of time and effort, money, in trying to make permanent shifts in your sales results, that there is a gap in what you're expecting to happen and what actually is happening. The Arts of Selling Masterclass that we're running from the 19th of July is for you. It's going to give you some valuable and incredible information about how you make permanent change in order to get permanent results. Join us. Together we will share.
Thank you very much for being here. I'm really thrilled and excited to be with you tonight. Whenever I get an opportunity to talk about sales or sales conversation, I'm excited to share my experience and some of my knowledge. Now, over the course of the next 5 days, we are going to share information with you that will change the way you see the world. It will change the way you perceive what you're doing right now in your life. The material that we have to share with you is without question one of the best there is on the topic of personal growth and self-development. It will make or break your thought process. And as I've said in one of my videos recently, we really want to add value to your professional and personal life from this moment on. Okay, let's get down to session one. So how many of us here sell? First question. So how many of us here sell? Well, listen, let me tell you something. All of us are in sales. Every single one of us. Every single time we are having a conversation, selling is happening. We are selling people what we like them to do if they work for us, for example. You have a conversation with someone trying to convince them that you have a great idea, selling again. A mother sells an idea to her child to make them do what they need them to do, right? That's sales. A husband, wife, girlfriend, boyfriend sells their idea to one another to do something. A friend trying to ask you to go out for a drink, for example, or go somewhere with them. They use techniques to convince you, or you convincing them whether you want to do it or not. So you see, in a way, we are all salespeople, and we use, to some degree or another, sales-driven techniques in our daily lives. And this is why I love this topic. So whatever it is that you are in business for, even if you're a housewife or out of a job, this applies to you. Now, why do people go into sales? Now, for most people, they go into sales for financial reasons. Or if you're like me, you fall into sales by accident. Now, people go into sales or customer service for personal satisfaction. Most people say they love to interact with people or serve people. And what typically happens is they join sales or customer service, they get trained, they start, they perform, and then either their performance decline, or if they are in service, they get disillusioned. For example, people working on telephone, for example, they start losing their way, and eventually what happens is they leave their job and they move to a different job. I want to share a story with you. Some of you may have already come across this story. If you have, great reminder. If you haven't, just lean in and listen to this. So once upon a time, A shoe company sent 2 salesmen to Africa to determine whether there was a market for their product, which was shoes. Now, one salesman went to the east coast of Africa, while the other one went to the west coast of Africa. Now, both salesmen went in there with the view of scouting the market to see whether there was any potential. So the one that went to the east coast of Africa sent a report in and said, sorry guys, no one here wears any shoes, so there's no market for us here. Now, the other one who went to the west coast of Africa sent a message saying, you know what, no one here wears shoes. There is a huge market for us, so send your inventories as fast as you can. Now, I want you to think about this for a while. Now, there's a moral to this story if you are in sales or service. Now, the point of the story is that your perspective influences your behavior. Meaning, if you feel you cannot change a situation, you act one way. On the other hand, if you see the world as a place full of opportunities, you act differently. Now, this is why we have really successful salespeople or fulfilled customer service people who enjoy their job, and they are very good at it. Unfortunately, however, we have some good salespeople or customer service people, but they're not really exceptional ones. Now, let me ask you another question. What are the key characteristics of a very good sales or service person other than their ability to do it? Now, I'll repeat that question. Just give me one. What is the key characteristics, in your opinion, of a very good sales or service person other than their ability to do it? I'll give you about 30 seconds. Brilliant. I've got the first few ones. Never giving up. That's perfect. That's good. What we're going to show you and what we're going to teach you, I could keep believing regards to first experience. That's really good focus. Fantastic. Brilliant. Thank you very much, guys, for your participation. It's really good. Keep them coming. That's right. We're gonna go over those later on as well. But what I want to say to you here is that what we're going to share with you here are the techniques, the tools, and predominantly the whole science about sales paradigm. We talk about the successful mindset, and I will explain that in a little bit probably simpler terms, so just make everybody understand what I'm going on about in terms of mindset. Now, I'm going to ask a question very quickly, and I think this will resonate. Now, who can tell me who are the best salespeople on the planet and in the universe, the whole universe? Who are the best salespeople? Yeah, thank you very much for the comments coming through. Yes, brilliant. Some people say it's like those master their mind. Me, excellent, fantastic. Children are the best salespeople on the planet. Just think about it. Children have no inhibitions. They are focused on their goals. They ask loads of questions, and I'm sure you will agree with me. They are super determined. They are absolutely confident, not consciously anyway. They persevere to do whatever it is to achieve their goals. If you agree with me on that, just put in the chat box, agree. Children have a powerful self-image. They're not conscious of their self-image, so therefore they have no fear whatsoever in achieving their goals. Now, you know, do you have goals? Do you have professional or personal goals? If you are in sales or service, do you have a goal? And I'm not talking here about targets which your company generates for you to achieve their goals, but I'm talking about your personal goals. Now, this is the dilemma that everyone has. Now, we confuse company targets and objectives with our own objectives and goals. Targets are for companies' bottom line and keep their business afloat, or a measure of how much money you should and shouldn't earn. So some of you know my story when I worked in sales. If not, you will have a pretty good idea and pretty good picture by the end of the week, I can assure you. Now, no companies that I know of get to the root cause of your results? Nobody. No one that I've gone through. Anyway, tomorrow we will talk about beliefs in more details, like the science behind success, psycho-cybernetics. See, if your sales or service conversion with prospects or customers, it's a reflection of your self-image and beliefs. So your results that you are achieving right now is a result of your limitations of your belief set by the environment or perhaps by your company.
And I would like to bring you, Nick, back on the screen, because I remember when I was working with you, and I was literally, when I was listening to your stories, I remember you were telling me those incredible stories, and I was saying to you, yes, you are the perfect example of an unconscious competent, that you know what to do, and people will try to copy you. They will try to ask you, what do you do to get those sales, to get those deals? You'll tell them what to do. Yet again, it would not work for everyone. And it's frustrating, isn't it? Have to just unmute yourself. Sorry. There you go.
Yeah. So, you know, just going back to what you just said about being kind of an unconscious competent. When I started in sales, you know, I didn't know what I was doing. I got a script. I started making some sales. From day one, I said to myself, well, you know, this guy can do 150. I wonder what it would take for me to do 300. And in 2 months, I done 350, and I kept this. I was the top salesperson for 23 months out of 24. They promoted me. I got a team of people. They, you know, during that course of the 2 years, I had a lot of people coming and sitting down with me and trying to understand what I was doing. And they wrote a lot of script at the back of it, a lot of words, but none of them seemed to have worked the way it should. And they gave me a team to go and train and coach. Yeah, I took the team. I done some sales with those teams, but, you know, if I knew then what I know now, things would have been different. Now I know the missing part of that puzzle. I now understand it, and I sure hope that you all who hear on this call and during the whole week, you will learn that. And I wish I had that back then, really did. But nevertheless, I will take that. I will take that now, and I will share that with anyone I can.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Extremely pleased to be here with you again. Really appreciate your participation yesterday. Lots and lots of chats going on in the box. It's great. You engaging with us. That's perfect. Now, for those of you who are in the UK, I hope you're enjoying the weather, and we really appreciate your time with us. It'll be worth your while, I guarantee you. Now, yesterday we talked a little bit about self-image. We touched a little bit on self-image in sales and service, and we touched on paradigm. What is paradigm? Now, paradigm is a multitude of habits, beliefs that dictate our behavior. I'll repeat that. Paradigm is a multitude of habits, beliefs that dictate our behavior. And almost all of our behaviors are habitual. And our behavior, of course, dictates our results. Now, we've got a lot to cover today, so I'm going to get straight into it. Now, let me give you an example about paradigm. Now, in sales or service, now you send your teams or take yourself off to training sessions and seminars on sales or service, and your people or yourself come back all pumped up, ready to set the world on fire for a few weeks, maybe a few months. You will see the results going up that way, and everybody's happy. We're all really great. That was great sales training that we had, or service training, fantastic. And what happens is, after the maybe 2-3 months, the results starts plummeting, and you're back to where you started again, back to where you were before. Now, organizations generally spend huge amount of money in training and development. Why do those sessions of training development not stick for a lot of people? Have you ever sat down and really analyzed this and asked yourself and perhaps your colleagues, perhaps others, the question, why? Why does this happen? Must be a reason, right? I mean, you've got some bright people in the organization that you work in, and you yourself must be really bright. Why? Now, first of all, I would like to ask you that question. Have you come across this? Have you been in that situation where your teams or yourself gone on training, performance goes way high, and then after a while it dips again? Lenin, tell me, hashtag happened, if that's happened to you, if you've actually experienced this in your professional life. Join the chat, tell us. Hashtag happen if it happened, and hashtag not happen if it didn't. I can almost guarantee now that most of you would probably put in it's happened, because I've been through this. I've been through this numerous times in my career. Now, if you ask the question, and if you did ask that question about why it's like this, I can almost certainly guarantee that the answer that you would get, or the answer you will come out with, would be, I don't know. Now, but you must understand that, as we talked about it yesterday, it all starts with a goal. If you have a worthy goal that you are truly connected with, not those goals that say, well, I would like to be a millionaire this time next year, for example, or I would like this, I would like that, but a goal with a purpose, a goal that is time defined, a goal that you have internalized in yourself and truly believe that you are out there to get it. Now, we will show you over the next few days how to do that, how you internalize the goal. Okay, so now we will go a bit deeper today into and talk about your brain, our brain, and the way our minds work. We will explore the root cause of these fluctuating results that we see in organizations and in yourself and in your teams. Now, you see, unless you really understand how your mind works and how powerful an organ your mind and your brain is, you won't be able to make those leaps, those permanent changes that you are so longed for. The difference, you will actually see how things can change. We are habitual beings. We do things in a certain way. This may have been passed on to us genetically, or we have picked this up from our environment that we have been born in. If we look at ourselves now, many people want to make changes to their lives. They want to make have more of this or more of that, less of this or less of that. But when you really observe those people and observe ourselves, perhaps, and those habits that we've got, those certain habits, we find that those habits are dictating the way our lives shape up and actually dictate our results that are showing up in our lives. We run our business and we run our teams in a certain way, and we continue to do the same, and yet we expect the results to change. Now, if you expect your results in your life, your sales result, your business goals to change, you must change the status quo. You must change the habits. It's a fact. Tell me, guys, tell me if you resonate with this. If you want to make changes to your results and make changes to your life, you must change the status quo. You must change something. Tell me, hashtag agree if you agree with me. Okay, now most of you are probably saying right now, Nick, look, I hear you. Okay, that's all well and good, but how do we do it? How do we get there? Well, this is why you're here with us this week. This is why we're sharing this information with you. Now, the people who have embraced this and understood this are prospering. They are seeing the result. Nothing happens by accident, guys, nothing. You are here for reasons. Whether you take this information in or not, that is your choice. However, one thing I can guarantee you, if you embrace this, you will see the results in your life, your career, your business will go in a place that will shock you. So I was in the same position as you are nearly 4 months ago. I remember saying to Alex that it was my goal to deliver this information to a large audience by the end of the year. I had no idea I was going to do this. I'm here right now in front of you doing this 3 months in. Now, as I study this, guys, I come to realize that the real me, what I'm capable of, and what I was doing before and why. Now, stick with us. I can assure you, you will be amazed if you don't already know this information, where your results come from and why we do things the way we do it and why we get the results that we are getting. Really, really powerful stuff.
You. And I would like to bring you, Nick, back on, because this is something where when we started to talk about it, the self-image, and I believe for me personally, being in sales 10 years ago and completely did not enjoy my sales job, and now I'm back to sales and I love it, I could say from the bottom of my heart, this is one of the most valuable ideas that I had learned. I think you have to unmute yourself again. I'm not sure. You are definitely unmuted.
Yeah, I'm unmuted now. Yeah, thanks very much for bringing me back. You know, guys, and Alex, thanks very much. I mean, every time I listen to this lesson, it gives me goosebumps, because I just honestly, seriously, I really wished I had that information 20 years ago. I seriously do. It gives me goosebumps because I can resonate with every single part of this, because I know what was happening back then. I now recall all of these instances where paradigm was kicking in, cybernetic mechanism was kicking in, and it's right. Now I understand that actually what you need to do, change your goal. So your cybernetic mechanism will drag you to your goal, the new goal, and the goal that you've internalized. And this is powerful stuff. I mean, you know, I remember when I was in doing sales, how people were telling me, "Oh, I can't do this." And I remember I was selling on the phones, right? And you have these people. I had a team around me, and I was selling. So occasionally I have someone just voicing out, "Oh my God, I can't do this. This, you know, I'm just getting all the negatives all the time." And then people saying no to me, "I can't do this." And I remember very clearly, because I think at that time my self-image is slightly higher than everybody else. So all I was doing was say, "That's no problem. Just pass me the lead. I'll do it." And I'll convert it. And everybody was, "Wow, how did you do that?" So, well, I just tried. I just believe that the next person will buy from me.
Yes, you see, this is what's very frustrating for people who it comes very easy to you because it's a part of their self-image. So
Right.
part of your self-image was that there was no fear from rejection. So not understanding this information basically lead onto so many lost sales, lead onto so many lost business and profit, because
Thank you, guys. Welcome, all of you again. Thank you so much for joining us. It's amazing to see all of you back here again. Yesterday, self-image. We talk a lot about self-image. Maxwell Maltz, you cannot outperform your self-image. Your sales results, or the results in your life, come from your behavior, and your behavior from your paradigm. So for the first time ever, for some of you, I'm sure you met the stick person that illustrates your mind, or our mind, the two parts of our mind, the subconscious and the conscious mind. The subconscious mind is the powerhouse of our life. It dictates our behavior and therefore our results. Did you know that nothing happens to our body unless we give it direction? It's true. If we create order in our mind, we create direction. We can direct our attention to what matters, and therefore we can direct our results. Order is the heaven's first law. Now that you have an insight of where your results are coming from, let's start talking about fear, which Alex is going to cover in great depth in a minute. I will take some example. I'll take the example of changing your company, for example. I'm sure you've come across this. Now, whilst I'm talking, I would like you to engage with us. I would like you to let us know, whilst I'm talking, if you experience this. So if you have, hashtag experience would be good. So your boss announced a change in something in your company, a change in process, a change in product, whatever it may be, and suddenly everyone is fearful. Listen, I've worked with some organizations before where I've headed transformational work, and let me tell you something. It takes ages for the workforce to implement change in processes or product release, etc. If not done properly, people leave. People don't like change, they're fearful. We go to length, months, years maybe, to make change. It's called a company culture shift. Now, organizations spend millions sometimes to change their company culture, and a lot of the time they fail. I can tell you that, I can assure you that. We make a change, we embrace it for a bit, and then slowly what happens, our cybernetic mechanism takes us back to the original point, reinforces the idea that change is not good. That's the paradigm again. It's our habitual behavior. Another example in sales I'll give you, you get on that phone and you start prospecting. The first few days, you do really well. You manage a few sales and everyone's happy, you're buzzing, and suddenly what happens is things starts to change. The sales starts to drop. Your mind goes on overdrive. Why? Because your subconscious mind has been reprogrammed with the repetition of people saying no to you, or people giving you all the reasons in the world why they won't buy your product or services. And your subconscious mind is taking this as real. And what happens is your next phone call becomes a dud, the next one, and the next one, so on and so forth. If you make a sale, perhaps a few sales by luck. Now, who can relate to this? If you can, hashtag relate, please. If you want to make permanent change in your life, you have to change the way you perceive your reality. You cannot get better when you are ill if you continue to think that you're ill. How many of us have done this before? A slight sniffle and suddenly our minds wander. I'm catching a cold, I'll be ill. I don't feel very well. And before you know it, you are unwell. Your subconscious mind is giving you the reality that you have been thinking about. We don't blame anyone else or circumstances. We create the circumstances in our lives by thinking it. We're going to explore this in a bit more details today. Only when you fully understand and become aware of how your mind works, only then you can start shifting to a different zone and expect better results. We are all salespeople in our own rights, no matter what profession we're into. Sales happens when we're having a conversation. The question is, who's selling to who? One is selling an idea and the other one is either accepting the idea or rejecting it. Sales is happening either way. Now, I want to take a very simple example, because this is going to create that shift in your head, in your mind, that will get you thinking, because it's really, really important. I want you to pay attention to this. Children and toddlers are really, really good at this. And I'm sure if you have children, or you have nephew, nieces, you probably have come across this. I have used this as an example in many sales training program and managers coaching program that I've developed as standard. Kids, they come to their parents and say, "Mommy, Daddy, I really want this." I'm not talking about food items here. I'm talking about, toys or something like that, or a gadget. And most of the time, the response would be probably, "Yes, we'll see. Why do you need this?" Or, "Have you done your homework? Have you tidied your room?" Or, "We can't afford it now," blah, blah, blah. Kid would go away and they come back and say, "Mummy or Daddy, I know you said, but," who can relate to this? Who can relate to this scenario here? Hashtag agree if you can relate to this, because that's really, really important. Kids got a way of doing things that you need to observe, because if we replicate this, things is going to happen. You can change that behavior. And then finally, that kid would go on and on and on, and finally will come back and say, so mommy, daddy, if I do this or do that, would you at least think about it? And 9 times out of 10, the answer is yes, right? I know some of you can relate to this, 100%. When I coach my salespeople, and if you join our program and we coach you, especially on the telephone, which incidentally is the most challenging channel to use, I develop one part that creates a connection with prospects. People by people, you probably heard of this. Sell yourself, sell your idea that resonates with prospects. We will go into in the chat box, and thank you very much again for being here with us. This is Scientific Steps, the universal law. Our existence is governed by the universal laws. Now, why do some people get incredible results and some don't? They operate with the law of compensation. Now, the law of compensation, if you remember correctly, it states that the money that you earn will always be in exact proportion to the need for what you do, the ability to do it, and the difficulty there will be in replacing you. And the only part that we should be focusing on is the ability to do it. Be the best, become the master in whatever you do. The knowing and doing gap. Now, the knowing and doing gap produces fear, the fear in you taking the leap into the unknown. As we continue to focus on paradigm and the relationship between your habitual behavior and your results, without any shadow of a doubt, if you change your paradigm, guys, change your habits, in effect, you will change your results. And make no mistakes, your paradigm will always drag you back where you started. Cybernetic mechanism, as you recall. Your paradigm will take you back into the safe place. It will take you back to your old habits. Listen, guys, this information is only a scratch on the surface of your personal and professional development. Now, we have a program that will teach you. We will help you grow. Our purpose on this planet is to grow. As Bob Proctor says, we are only limited by weakness of attention and poverty of imagination. And he's not wrong by no stretch. If you want to achieve any goal in life, I mean, any goal, you must give it your undivided attention. Use your imagination to build massive pictures. See great things happening in your life, in your professional life, your personal life. You must fall in love with what you do first in order for you to make shift in your results. You must think differently. There's no question about it. I hope you can all see this. If you can, just give us a couple of thumbs up, just to acknowledge that you can actually see that chart. Now, this is a very interesting chart. Now, we're talking about a comfort zone, and it's really, really important to understand where we are on the bandwidth of comfort zone. So, you see, I would like for you guys to be very honest with yourself. And actually, in the chat box, if you can, by just reading this chart that we've got up for you here, and put in the chat box where you think you actually are within that comfort zone chart. And as I said, be very honest. And I'll be honest with you. I'll be very honest with you and say, at the moment, I am probably within the learning and growth zone. And in fact, if I'm very honest with myself, I'm in the learning zone. But very soon, I'm already thinking I'm in the growth zone. So if you can, guys, just drop in the chat box, where do you think you are in that growth zone chart? I want everybody to participate. Even if you are going to watch this on replay, guys, please just drop in the chat box where you think you are in order for us to understand. Because unless you know where you are, you're not going to know where you're going to end, and you don't have an end goal, then you don't know where you're going to end. So it's really, really important that knowing where you are at first, and then understanding how you're going to get there, and obviously make the quantum leap that you need in order to get to the growth zone, which is obviously ultimately where you conquer your objectives, you live your dreams, essentially. Okay, that's great. So look, at the end of the day, we are God's highest form of creation, and God created us to have a purpose. God has given us the mental faculties to create our own success, our own environment. Now it is up to us to use what it is available to us, obviously legally, of course. It is up to us to choose whether we want it or not. School has never taught us how to use our mental faculties to become whoever we want to be. Our mental faculties are, as you heard earlier, imagination, will, intuition, memory, reason, and perception. Now, all great minds on this planet have been in complete agreement that you and I become what we think about. And do you know this? Most people think of what they don't want. People magnetize themselves to what they don't want all day. I mean, I'm sure you and I've done it in the past where we've come up with some big dreams, but we don't embrace our dreams. Yeah, I've said I would like to be a millionaire, and very quickly we think about all the reasons why we cannot get there. I've done this numerous times. And if you have experiences and you've done this yourself, drop in the chat box, hashtag done this before. And I will take an example about sales. Now, when you're speaking to your prospect or your client, do you actually listen to them? I mean, really listen to them. Do you know that in order to get connected, get really connected with your prospect or with anyone, in fact, in your business or organization that you work, you have to become emotional listeners. People generally hear and talk, but they very rarely listen. You must listen with your emotions. There is no question about that. And you have to think of the end result, as we put up there on the chart. You have to think about where you want to be. Get connected with it. Listen with your emotion, not just your ears. I did not know this before. Now that I do, I want to teach this to everyone, every single one of you. I want to teach this to the world, because I know that you need this. Because I know that in order for us to move in that growth zone of the comfort zone chart, we need this. As always, I will try and illustrate the theory with practical example, and here's one of them, where use of high mental faculties in sales. Look, we all been through this. Now, you experienced cold call before, right? You get someone calling you. I get them like 3-4 times a week. Someone calling you, and the entry line generally goes like this. Hi, this is blah. Is that Nick? And then I go, yes. Oh, how is your day going today? Now, I'm a positive person, and for me, every day is a great day. Depends on which lens I'm looking at it from. So I say, yes, I'm great, thanks. Now, this has worked before. This kind of entry line has worked before, and it kind of get a little bit of connection, but it doesn't make emotional contact with the person at the other end. Why? Because it doesn't sound genuine, and it's not authentic. Now, look, my wife gets really annoyed with me when I do this, but I engage with them, because I want to help them, because I've been there before myself. When I was in sales years ago, I was very successful in what I was doing. I didn't know how, but I was successful. And my organization used to give me I'm used to be the guinea pig for them. So I do trial for certain products that they want to sell. So they will give me a product and say, well, Nick, can you just go and try and call these prospects and see whether you can sell them that product or service. I remember very clearly that was the very first day. So it was first evening. I spoke to 25 prospects and I got nothing. The next day was the same, and the day after that was the same. Now, a lot of people would probably have given up, but I was operating. Now I know I was operating with the law of compensation, the ability to do it. Days went by, the 3 days, I was getting better at it. I was persevering. I remember going home those first 3 nights thinking, what did I not do today? I went to bed and this was on my mind. I didn't go to bed thinking this is not good enough, I might as well give up now. No, I went to bed thinking I'm really good at what I'm doing and I'm really can do this. I was visualizing my result. I was visualizing the end product. I said to myself, I will do this with a lot of conviction and faith. Now, people around me were telling me all sorts of things. So I said, leads are not good enough, etc. I wouldn't be doing this if I was you. Some even went as far as to say to me, you know, you can't be good at everything, Nick. So I heard them, but I didn't listen. My desire was to achieve. So on evening 4, I made a record 17 sales within 3 hours and came across some great people and engaged with some really nice people. Now, what happened? I changed my behavior on the phone. I came across as I wanted to help and genuinely come across as helping them. I changed the way I was doing things. Instead of going with what most cold callers would do, as the example I took earlier about the entry line, I changed it slightly. And I said, instead of saying, how are you today? I said, I know that you're not expecting my call. However, I was hoping you could spare a few minutes to listen to this exciting proposition I have for you. And then I'd stop talking, let them emotionalize this. I emotionalized what was going on, and then I went on to make my sales pitch. And that's how I got 17 sales in one evening. Now, for those of you who are in sales or aspire to be in sales, remember, from the moment you go into this business called selling, realize that your job, our job, is to help people who have the need and desire for the benefits of our product or services, helping them rationalize this decision, and then they'll say yes. We will talk about Oh, hi. Thanks, Eric. Thank you very much. Welcome, everybody. Eric, well, impressive, very impressive story. Your dad's story, and I love this. Last time you talked about this, and I really was impressed, and I'm impressed again. It was great, great story. If you're in the UK, weather's turning a little bit dull at the moment, so stay tuned, and we will give you some incredible information. For now, you have to do something different. You have to engage with the scientific process to take your results to where it's never been before. You must change the way you do things. You must get out of your comfort zone. We looked at that comfort zone chart. Internalize that result, be one with it in order for you to achieve it. Give order and direction to your mind, and that's just not your mind as in your conscious mind, but your actual subconscious mind, because that's where our paradigm resides. Everything you focus on will expand, so you're giving it energy. We have a lot when you're trying to grab attention on a sales journey. You have to be genuine. You have to really believe in what you're doing. Not reading from a script while you're trying to get my attention. If you want to sell me something, you might as well send me an email. If you need to use the words on a script, those words, you have to internalize them as your own words, like actors in a movie. Listen, when I was in sales, there were numerous brainiacs trying to understand what I was doing to generate so many sales. Now, I didn't understand it then. They spent days, weeks with me crafting the ultimate script for success, but it never delivered the level of sales that we were all expected. Why? Because those words were good, but they were not internalized, so they were not genuine. People by people, you've heard this before. The product, whether it's beneficial to them or not, is actually secondary. That's a fact. For the first 6 to 12 seconds, you have to be an actor. You have to put your best voice on. You have to look the part. You have to make me listen to you. You have to take me away from whatever it is that I'm doing and pay attention to what you're saying. Now, I always think the next prospect that I'm going to contact will benefit from what I'm offering, not what I want the next person to buy from me. The buying is secondary. If you can't get the initial part right, forget it, you've lost it. Just remember, give your prospect undivided attention. Let me give you an example here. Now, many years ago, I remember this clearly because I used this in my training. I called someone to sell an extended warranty on their used car that they purchased 5-6 years back. Now, I will talk to you about the grabbing attention part of that conversation. Now, as soon as the guy picked that phone up, I heard in the background EastEnders was playing. Now, those of you who are not familiar with EastEnders, that's a TV series, a very famous one in the UK. The moment I heard this, within split seconds, I recalibrated my entry line. And what I said was, I said, I know you don't know me, and I can hear that you're watching EastEnders. I wanted to talk to you about your car. And I stopped. That grabbed that person's attention immediately. And the response I got, obviously at the time, was, what do you mean my car? So I grabbed the attention of that person, and then I continue. I waited for his response, of course, and I followed on, introduced what I was proposing to do to him. At the end of that conversation, that person said to me, you know, you must be really good at what you do, because you disturbed me, you talked to me, you made me take my credit card out, bought something for what it was then, was £600 or whatever it was, that I cannot see or feel ever, and you made me feel good about it. To this day, I use this example in my sales training, and it works. Now I'm sharing it with you. These days, I mean, we talked about interest. These days, we have order takers with the amount of things that are sold online now. But there's still some purchases that you can be that you cannot be make through just online purchase. So you still have to have the sales element of it. A very simple example. Not so long ago, I had someone working for me, and we were selling an add-ons to a product, and he never believed that product. He never believed in that product. And no matter how many times we changed the words and the way he was saying it, he couldn't get emotionally connected, never believed in it. And guess what? No matter what, how many different set of words we put in front of him, his performance of selling this product were down all the time. It was about questioning techniques. Now, the questioning techniques that we use to pre-qualify whether the product that you are or services that you're selling will definitely be of interest. Again, it's about being genuine. Having listened to the person, you've got to emotionalize what has been said. When your prospect asks you questions, most people see this as objections. They're not. People asking me questions when I'm selling means one thing and one thing only. They're interested. They want to know more. So they ask the question. I've had instances where I've said to prospects, I do not think that this product would serve your purpose, because I'm being genuine. I'm being authentic. And guess what? The same person would send reviews and recommendation out. Why? Because I connected emotionally. I was genuine. I remember a guy I sold product once quite a while ago. This guy tracked me down for about a year for an upgrade. He will not talk to anybody else. Now, there is an element of trust here, and there's trust, there's faith. Why? I think because to me, now I know I had an emotional connection with this person. Ask questions, talk about their wants. People love talking about themselves. Get them talking. By asking questions, you're not intruding, depending on which question you ask, of course. What you say during the creation of interest is key to making the sale. This is the non-confrontational part of the process. So you have to make sure you have uncovered every single stone. Once you've done that, you're ready for the next stage. Now, I remember once when I was engaging with a prospect, asking lots and lots of questions. So I was exploring whether that product would suit his purpose. So he connected with me. We were talking. We built kind of a rapport, and it was nice. And I was talking to him, and suddenly, out of the blue, he asked me a question. And he said, "Why do I have to buy whatever you're selling?" That threw me. That really threw me. And I thought, "Whoa, okay." And I remember thinking to myself, "Okay, I'd split seconds to have a response here." So I said, bluntly, I said, "Well, you don't. I'm only trying to find out if you own this product, would it benefit you or not? Because if I don't do that, for some reason, my product that I'm offering you doesn't suit your purpose, you won't be very happy, would you?" And the answer was yes. So this is all about what we call the pitch. The biggest part of the sales process is the creation of interest. Some may call it the qualification stage. Thanks, Alex. Desire, desire, desire. Now you've got the attention, you've created the interest, the prospect trusts you, believe in what you're saying to them, they have faith in you. Now you start building that desire that Alex has talked about when you connect properly. Now you don't sell, you don't talk about how good your product is, you're building on that relationship that you have defined in the interest creation part and the linking it to the benefits, whether it's short-term or long-term, for the prospect. In other words, this is what I'm offering you. A lot of people have experienced benefit from owning this product. And if you listen carefully, I haven't said buy this product. I've said a lot of people have experienced benefits from owning this product or service. You have to be excited about the product yourself. Make the prospect visualize them owning that product you're offering. Of course, you cannot tell them to do that. You use suggestion techniques. Sometimes you may have customers who have purchased this, have written some great reviews about how they felt when they used it. But make sure you have this to hand, otherwise you won't be credible. One of my favorite in building desires is to say to the prospect, and I'm giving you a live example based on what you told me so far, if I could offer you this or that and so on, would you be happy with that? Yes. Always the question of yes comes along. Now, I didn't say, would you buy? There is reason for that, because we're following a process. Now, let's take a very simple example here. Someone wanting to buy a TV set. Now, I'm selling it. Now, once you have done step 1 and 2, I would say something like, if I can get you, I'm taking a random example. Let's say, if I can get you a 50-inch TV set, HD, internet-driven, smart, ultra, thin, I don't know the gizmos that comes on TV because I don't watch TV. I haven't been watching TV for ages. Within the price range of X and Y, you would be happy with that, yeah? And immediately what I'm doing is repeating what the customer wants. And of course, that desire is already there. Now, the prospect has internalized what they want. The desire is here. You then show them the product. You make them feel, and it is, if it is tangible, that is, now you're ready to take action. So desire, building of desire is about relating, having asked all the questions, you then take all of that, blend it together, and present your prospect with the option that they desire. You make them feel special because you've listened to them. Closing, if you can't close, you can't sell. But in my head, I've always known that to some degree, but I never knew the theory behind it. I would always try and do those 3 steps very, very well. So when it comes to closing, it's an effortless exercise. And remember I said earlier about trial close. Trial close is absolutely essential in anyone selling. You have to do this part of trial closing. I actually gauging where you are, whether you're leveling with that prospect or not, whether you gauge whether they are in connection with you emotionally, whether they were ready to say yes to you at that final point when you're going to ask the question, ask for the business. If you can't ask for the business, you can't sell. So you have to use your intuitive factor to close. You have to gauge what's happening. So you ask those questions. If I can do all of this for you, would you be happy with that? yes. And if you say yes, good. And if it's no, what happens is you have people raising objections, as you may have heard. Now, a lot of people tend to be very fearful about that. Very, very fearful. And in fact, I still remember the days when I was doing sales. I had a team of people, and a lot of them were raising these things. Oh my God! And yet another objection. Oh, yet another objection. And all I was doing is going to them and say, you know, objections are great, because one thing that is telling me that people are interested. They're raising those questions. They're raising those objections, trying to catch you out. People are fearful for getting a no. That's what people are fearful of. Fear of getting another objection and yet another no. But if you've done the first 3 steps properly and you gauging your level of emotional connection with your prospect, the closing becomes so easy. Believe me, by the time I do my closing, the customer or the prospect is actually saying to me, where do I sign, or how much do you want, as opposed to saying, well, I'm not sure whether this is for me. I even had an example when someone says to me, you know, I need to ask my wife before I can sign on the dotted line. And I remember saying at the time, to them, absolutely, you have. You must speak to your wife. Obviously, you know, your wife makes the decision. Collectively, you make the decision. Absolutely, you have to. And that emotional connection I had with this person, some sales you make straight on the spot, and some sales you have to have 2 or 3, you know, contacts before you make the sale. But agreeing with the prospect means that they have faith in you. They have that connection. They have faith. They have trust. And yeah, it to me, closing is the easiest part of the process. As a closing remark, maybe as a takeaway, guys, just want to probably add a few bits here, right? People buy things emotionally and they defend it logically. In other words, now I know, words they use their subconscious mind. In other words, they use their subconscious mind to purchase and then use their paradigm to defend. So sales is a word business. Every word that we say enters your prospect's ears and create emotions and feelings. It is essential that we make our sales pitch, in our sales pitch, we don't use words that create fear. Now, our program here will teach you that. Utilizing what we have learned so far, the science behind it, and apply that science to real life examples. One of the examples I can give you here about sabotaging our own sales pitch is the word, for example, price. Now, when people associate price with cost, and therefore that creates fear. Instead, I would use the word investment. I have a plethora of words and techniques that we can teach you here. The investment you're going to make in your future, in yourself, would, without question, provide you with lifelong benefits, personally and professionally. So make a decision to enhance yourself, better yourself, improve your innate skills that have been sitting here for perhaps years. Make a decision, literally in 10 seconds. So I knew this was the missing part of a jigsaw. Otherwise, I wouldn't be sharing this information with you. Remember, when you procrastinate, your paradigm will tell you all the reasons why you shouldn't take charge of your life, because your paradigm wants to be the autopilot of your life to keep you safe. Thank you.